right, you're good.
All right, I'm coming up now. We are 10-8, as they say. All right.
What's 10-8 mean?
10-8 in police terms, at least in our codes down here, 10-8 means in service. You're in service, okay. Available for calls. And M18's there. Hey, buddy, how are you? See 1018. He's the only one on so far. We got 2 people on, but only 1018 is checked in. I'm going to encourage everybody, if you're listening tonight, please check in so we can say hi to you and acknowledge you. I know there's 2 folks out there. So we'll wait just a couple of more minutes. 1018, M18. What's his first name?
I've no idea. I've honestly no idea.
M18.
I have honestly no idea.
If you don't want to do it online, it's cool. But if you get a chance, share your first name so we can say hi to you and acknowledge you. You're always there. You're always loyal. So Ghost Guy 59, Debbie NZ. Deb, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. We're just waiting a couple more minutes for 7 o'clock to roll around. Christine's going to get on tonight, isn't she, Deb? There's Heather. Oh, there we go. Everybody's starting to come on now. So, all right, 1 more minute, guys. Anyway, M18, ghostguy59@gmail.com. If you can drop me just so we can say hi to you and know who you are. There's Ike. Oh, hey, Mark, and it's M18 is Mark. Glad to meet you, Mark. Ike's out there at IDK Paranormal. And how's your bits? Is that an English term?
How's your bits? Yeah, it can be. Okay. You know what they're talking about with bits.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. That's Commanding Judge Dredd there. Wants to know how's your bits. So, all right.
Flattened.
Okay.
Been riding the bike again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, why don't we go ahead and kick this one off? Hey, Deb, before we kick off, is Christine home tonight, or is she out partying?
Yeah.
Love the daggers, Chris. Gotta know if Christine's there tonight, Deb or Ike. Let us know. I'll wait to start till you let me know.
It's Party City.
We got that little time lag here, so they're not hearing it right away. Well, we're just gonna have to shoot. It's 7 o'clock.
Just go for it. Go for it.
She is watching. Debbie is watching. Cool. And Spanky just came on too. All right, let's hit the road, guys. Hey, everybody. I guess now we're officially starting. Welcome back to On the Air with Indian River Hauntings. There's Christine. We're going to talk to Chris in just a quick second here, but thanks for joining us tonight. Larry Lawson's my name. I'm your host, along with my partner in crime, Chris Huff, over there in County Durham, England. And I don't think people give you enough credit, Chris. You're up past midnight over there just to do this live.
Nobody gives a shit, mate. Nobody gives a shit.
All these people right here give a shit. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. They all care. So, anyway, and you got Ryan there. He's in Orlando. I'm down in Vero Beach, Florida. Ryan is in Orlando engineering this whole thing, and Chris is in England. And, if you're watching tonight and you haven't checked in, please check in so we can see your name on our list and we can say hi to you. And we'd love you to ask questions, because one thing tonight is we're hoping for some and I just saw that my internet just went wacky. I hope you guys are still hearing me.
Yes, you're still with me.
Okay, good. Hopefully it's still working. First and foremost, There we go.
Keep going.
Okay, all right. It's just my whole thing froze up here. So anyway, want to give our first of our shout outs, but the first is going to be to our dear friend and birthday girl. And who would that be, Mr. Huff?
It could be a certain young Christine.
Christine NZ. Christine, yeah, and what a lot of people don't realize about Christine is not only is she a college graduate now, but she, in fact, you finished your 2 years and you're in university now, but she's also a member of the United States Army Reserve, so she serves our country.
She kicks butt. Yeah,
she does. So Christine,
so watch it, guys.
so I'm gonna go forego the formalities up front. I'm gonna crack this, and Chris and I are gonna raise a toast and wish
We are
Christine
indeed.
Enzi a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Christine. Hope you have a great night, and thank you for joining us. Oh yes.
Oh, yes. See, I told you.
Okay. But while we're still doing our shout outs, want to say hi to Christine's dad, Ike Enzi, who has also served our country in a different way. He was like me, a cop for till we retired. So IDK Paranormal, a great show on YouTube. Please check it out. He has some great stories from the American Southwest and in law enforcement. So check it out, IDK Paranormal. If you haven't done that yet, hit and like it. Which reminds me, if you haven't done it for us yet, hit subscribe, hit like, hit that little bell icon so you know when we've got new content. And if you haven't done for Ike, please do that the same for,
Just
same
don't
for him.
hit me.
Our friends Doodlebug Dowsing in Orlando, Florida. Doodlebug Dowsing, Sherry and Nikki put together the best dowsing rods in the world. And my friend Ike is going to know about that very soon because they're on the way to you as we speak, Ike. So I want to say hi to our friends at Doodlebug Dowsing and, of course, Paradolia Brewery in Sebastian, some good friends of Indian River Hauntings and the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation. We've investigated that place 3 times now and really gotten some pretty cool stuff out of that. And finally, of course, our friends at the Marsh Landing and the Driftwood Resort in Vero Beach. So that's my shout-outs. Chris, you got any tonight?
None at all. Just to wish Christine a very, 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 very happy birthday.
Yes.
And don't do it again.
Well, beer challenge time. I picked this one because Chris had told me it was one I had to try. And this is Fuller's ESB. It is an English beer.
It is indeed.
And I've
it
just
is a beast.
I have just taken a quick taste in toasting our friend Christine for her birthday, and it is quite good. It's 5.9 alcohol by content. Very, very smooth. Chris, everything you said it was.
Only had one taste.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah, it's better on the second. Much better. Go on, and again. Nice. And again, and again. Go on.
Very, very nice.
Yeah,
very, very nice indeed.
It's a bit like Christmas pudding in many aspects. It's got so much going for it.
Yeah, that is excellent. So this is Fuller's ESB. Get it at your local liquor store. That's where I got this under the imported brews. It's an excellent beer. So my compliments.
You'll have to come over here and try it, Draft.
Oh, I'm planning on coming over here and trying several drafts of several different. Okay,
several drafts.
Yeah. So. Planes, trains, and automobiles. You know, I don't know about you folks out there that are listening, and I'm really hoping you guys jump in on this tonight because I want to hear your stories. And I want to share them with everybody else. We all talk about the spirits of humans coming back, the energies left behind that we see the residual hauntings from, or even the intelligent hauntings from, but it's all energy. We get that. But what about inanimate objects that people see? Now, this is how Chris and I actually became friends because of his work on RAF airfields. And it wasn't just the ghosts of World War II airmen that he saw, but it was actually the engines running of long past bombers flying over. Am I right, Chris?
Only once. But yes, I have heard. Yes. That is... If anything, that's the experience of my lifetime.
And how does that happen? And I know what the first things you're going to say is, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Shit happens.
Yeah, none of us really knows, but it keeps happening. And I want to talk a little bit about these hauntings from machines tonight. Thus the name Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And a couple of ones I want to bring up. Probably the first and it's really the most famous ghost airplane story or aircraft story here in this country, and it's about Flight 401. And it was an Eastern Airlines Lockheed L-1011 TriStar that crashed into the Everglades. Now, the interesting thing, or the thing that's different about this story is they don't see the airplane, but apparently the parts from the airplane that were recovered after the crash that killed everybody aboard, I believe, at least the whole flight crew, people continued to see the ghosts of these individuals on the planes that got the parts that were salvaged from the Eastern Airlines L-1011, Flight 401. I guess I get that one, Chris, because that's, there's attachments.
If you actually read the 411 story, I went into it quite a lot about 20 years ago or something. They're appearing to warn people about the dangers of the aircraft, that there was something wrong with the design of the aircraft. So that these people were appearing until they actually started looking at the aircraft. So you've got guardian spirits coming back. This is not sort of like a residual hanging on to something. There is a purpose behind what they were doing.
Gotcha. So it had nothing to do with attachments to the parts.
No, nothing to the parts. No, it was a lot deeper than that.
Okay. So, but still, that one's a little bit more creepy as all get out. One of the greatest aviation ghost stories, I think, in this country. But you can at least attach persons to it. But there's another story that comes from your neck of the woods, and it's been going on since the end of World War II, and that's that RAF C-47. I think it's seen over Cambridge, but it's an RAF C-47 that people have been seeing since the 50s.
What's a C-47?
It's a Dakota. You call it
Dakota.
Thank
you. Sorry, it's a Dakota. It's like you've got
DC-3.
A DC-3. You've got a PBY, and we call it a Catalina.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it just doesn't translate. So when you say a C-56 or whatever, I'm thinking, what the hell are you on about? So, but it's like me sort of saying, a Dakota to someone who's used to whatever you call them.
Dakota, well,
same aircraft, same bloody aircraft. It's just the RAF called it different to the USAF.
Right.
So
are you familiar with that story? Are you familiar with that story?
I'm not aware of that one.
Yeah. But it's another one that people have seen. It's on the internet. Folks have seen it a number of times over the years. And all it is that, and for folks that aren't familiar with the story, people are just sitting there watching this Dakota C-47, or DC-3 is probably how most people would recognize it, flying low over the countryside, and then poof, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? And I know.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I know, and nobody knows for sure. And we're going to talk about finding out some things about trying to find out why this stuff occurs towards the end of the show tonight. But what I'm really interested in is, why do people see these events happening? Another good one too. Here's an interesting story. Lady Be Good. Are you familiar with the Lady Be Good? Another World War II story.
Sounds like a USAF bomber. It's
Yep. She was a B-24D. She was flying flew a mission to Libya, and disappeared. Nobody had ever saw it again. I think they first saw the wreckage in the middle of the desert in I want to say 1949 or 1950, and they recovered it a couple of years later. Crew gone, and the airplane crashed on its own. There was nobody aboard her. Logic dictates the crew bailed out, and the aircraft must have been an autopilot, and she found her way to belly in. But definitely one of the more interesting stories of ghost aircraft, or aircraft that did things that weren't expected over the years. I
can give you a nicer example that you might appreciate. In the build-up to the Dams raid, the night of the 16th, 17th of May, 1943.
Explain the Dams raid for folks that aren't familiar with the Dam Busters.
The Dam Busters raid, taking out 3 German dams to stop. It served 2 purposes. One, to hinder German production by taking out the hydroelectric power stations and the power that fed industry along the Ruhr Valley. Secondly, it was the first time that Britain struck Germany hard to say, we can do unto you what you're doing unto us. Mm-hmm. Before, the crews did not know what the mission was until the night, but they were given to practice on dams at 60 feet height. Mm-hmm. What's been seen since on moonlit nights along 1 or 2 of the dams that they practiced on are Lancaster bombers at low height. There's no recorded crashes, there's nothing, but they see the Lancaster bombers. Often silent.
Mark, M18 just brought that up about seeing aircraft from World War II in the UK being seen, but no sound.
Yeah.
So he just mentioned that on here. Yeah.
It's the site. There's places in Wales as well where they fly down one of the valleys, but without my notes, I couldn't tell you one of the South Wales valleys. It's quite famous, but I can't think offhand, and it's too bloody late. I'm sorry, it's true. It is late, and my brain doesn't work, and the beer's having an adverse effect.
You should be having ESB. It would be going down so much better.
I find it very hard to get, but never mind.
Anyway, so, but once again, now I can almost see an area where an aircraft may have been blown up out of the sky, going through some discussion about the energy of that event, perhaps bringing back that aircraft to that spot at that moment. But what you're describing is they were practice runs by, it was what, 617 squadron flying especially modified Lancs, but they were just practicing. So that aircraft showing up on that practice run kind of takes away the energy of that violent event, perhaps bringing it back.
I mean, there's other Lancasters as well up and down the country. I can't remember which airfield it was, but it might be Linton on Ouse, but don't take my word for it, where a Mark IV Spitfire came into land. And I'll take it back slightly, but let's rewind. We've rewound. A group of veterans from the airfield went back and visited the airfield. And as they were walking around, as they looked up, a Mark IV Spitfire flew in low as though to come in and touch down, and vanished just as soon as the wheels were about to touch the ground.
Now, yeah.
These guys knew what they were looking at.
None of them knew what they were looking at?
No, they all knew what they were looking at because they were veterans.
Yes.
But there's no reason why it did it. There's no reason. Unless it was someone from the past coming back and saying, "Hi guys, we're still here. Welcome back to the airfield."
Yeah. Now, there's another story in England too, and I can't remember where now. It may ring a bell with you, but this actually happened during World War II. It was up in the north end near Scotland, and hurricanes were stationed there as night interceptors. And a hurricane was coming into land, and he kept coming into land, gear down, and suddenly he'd hit the throttle and pull around and go around the circuit and come back down. Finally, the last time, he got down, he got out of the cockpit mad as all hell because somebody in a biplane kept cutting him off as he was landing. But that biplane didn't exist. And this was a story. This was a story that was apparently seen. The event was seen by a number of Royal Air Force airmen. So once again, this aircraft apparently from World War I pops out of nowhere. Now, Jill Randazzo is with us. Hi, good to see you, Jill. She's talking about residual energy when the conditions are just perfect and previous events can repeat. Maybe that's it. I would agree with you, but my argument or my question on that, Jill, is where's the energy coming from? From the inanimate object or the people that were in it?
There's two questions I've got, which are never, ever answered. How does it record? What causes it to play back?
Once again, one of those questions that we just flat don't know the answer to.
All I can come up with is shit happens, because there is no... I find the whole idea of something recording on something which we don't know and then playing back bizarre.
It's all bizarre, pal.
Well, no, this is really bizarre for me. And yet it happens. And there's no two ways about it. It happens. So, and I have got no idea. I'm completely lost on this. This is way above my pay grade.
Well, and I think it is for most folks. In fact, a lot of times we're going to talk about some other types of things in just a second. We all pass it off as residual hauntings, as Jill did. But when you think about it, how does an inanimate object have the ability to repeat?
What is there that records it? What is required? What does it record on? What gives it the energy to record it on whatever it records it on? Well, how is it stored over time? What plays it back? These are all questions that, I regard sentient and non-sentient hauntings like a pair of trousers.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got sort of the waistband where you say, right, it's a haunting. And it goes a little bit further down. You say, right, well, people see it. And at that point, they diverge down one leg. One goes down one leg and one goes down the other leg. So I only deal with one leg, the spirit side. The other side,
Yeah.
I just don't understand. And I freely admit, if anyone asks me, it's just a case of shit happens.
Well, and I think that's where we're all at. I think if anybody says, and I've said this before on the show, if anybody says they know exactly what happens or they've got the exact answers, they're either a liar or a fool.
They're telling porcupines, aren't they? They're telling porcupines.
Now, going back to the pad here, M18's talking about in Wales there's a crash of a site of a B-24 Liberator bomber. 7 of the crew died. They still haunt the quarry still today. When the ghosts are seen, it's very eerie and somber. Once again, and you've got plenty of stories like that. That Wellington, that crash in the bog comes back.
Loads.
And Mark also, he knows Montrose. Do you know where RAF Montrose is?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the side of the story I just told. Mark knows the story, and he says the pilot was killed, and it's right. He was killed, and he something about his airplane. I want to say the wings came off of it or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was RAF Montrose. Now, Jill Randazzo says again, some type of timestamp, maybe weather conditions are exactly the way they were at the time that the event transpired. She doesn't think we will ever really know. But Jill, stay with us till the end of the...
Just keep thinking, please, because nobody's got the answers.
And tonight at the end of the show, weather conditions exactly the same. We're going to talk about something like that with this new event that this new program that we're going to talk about. So we're going to make the big announcement tomorrow night. I'll get to that in a few minutes. But that's exactly where I'm coming from. What if everything is exactly the same? What if events happen when certain conditions are all lining up? That's one of in my opinion, that may be one of the ways we at least get closer to the answer. And it may be, Chris, with the residual hauntings, even when it comes to inanimate objects, such as an aircraft, a car, a boat, or whatever, maybe it's the timing, things lining up. Maybe it's a time slip. What about the space-time continuum?
Well, time slips are something we haven't gone into at all, and they fascinate me because I've had a time slip. I've experienced one. But this isn't the episode to go down that line. But yes, time slips occur.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will always reiterate about what you call a residual, what I call a non-sentient, they have to do the same thing.
Yes, agreed.
If it doesn't do the same thing, you're talking about a different beast.
I totally agree with you. And you're talking about the 617 Squadron Lancaster coming over the Ruhr Valley. I guarantee you it's seen the same way every time. So that would be...
These are over English lakes, English dams, where they were practicing. And yes, it's seen doing the same thing. Just comes in low, up to the dam, vanishes.
Yeah. So that would be your definition of a non-sentient or
a residual, yeah.
But how does that happen? How does that happen with a piece of machinery?
What caused it to imprint?
Yeah.
What causes it to play back? And I can't... Often there is a correlation between work in a house or something and a playback occurring. So you start demolishing a chimney breast or something in the house, or take out a wall.
Right, some sort of construction, yeah.
Smash into the fabric of the house to put plumbing in or something. And these non-sentient hauntings seem to come to life again. So maybe you're using some kinetic energy in some form by hitting on bricks or hitting on stone and imbuing it with enough energy to form. I don't know. This is all gobbledygook as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking out of my arse.
Let me tell you a story that just happened to me. It was in December, just before I got sick. And I wasn't sick at the time. I was feeling fine. But I was unlocking the school where I'm the security guy at. That's what retired cops do, is we work as security. I was unlocking the school. It was about 5:45 in the morning, dark out. And I'm unlocking one hallway that leads to a drive out the west side of the school. Clear as a bell, there's a car that comes by. Slow enough that I recognize it to be like a General Motors type of car. And I remember saying to myself, what are they doing here so early? And where they were driving back to the back parking lot of the school, there's no way out. It's a parking lot. The only way you can leave is to come back and go the same way. So I immediately went out that way, and there was no question I saw the vehicle. It was a light-colored vehicle. Didn't quite get to make it. Moved a little too quick for that, but there was no question it was a GM-type, General Motors-type vehicle. So I walked straight out, and I looked. The vehicle wasn't there.
Nothing there at all.
It was gone. Now, this was my personal first experience. Now, and we've had some very interesting things happen at the school that I'd love to go into some other time. Even had a vice principal experience some things, and it's a fairly new school, the buildings wise. But this car drives through. Modern vehicle, was not an old vehicle. It was within a 10-year-old vehicle at most. Drove through, it was gone. How does that happen? And this was an example of a car now, and there's examples of cars coming and going, disappearing. People have had those happen all over the place too. Have you had any experiences with automobiles? Something more land-based than aircraft?
I have. Well, no, not personally. To be absolutely honest, I don't even look at cars. Now, if you have a motorbike going down the road, I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
what's that?
I'm like that.
Oh, look at that! Isn't it nice? Cars, it's four wheels, and I just think, ugh. I just don't even bother looking.
I gotta have wings and a prop before it really catches my attention, so I understand.
You do look up and you go, oh, look at that! It's a World War II Hurricane. You just watch it and watch it and watch it. And no, cars don't register on my radar very much. So I might have seen apparition. We might all have seen apparitions, and we've just thought it's an ordinary car. We didn't see it vanish when it went round the corner.
Well, this one I saw drive into our facility
because you went and followed it, and there was nothing there.
There was nothing.
How many people go and follow it and then discover there's nothing there?
Yeah, touche.
This is the thing. There are a number of cars. I mean, I was telling you before we came on air about the car and the ghosts at West Malling. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good point to interject this one. What it is, I don't know. Is it spirits? Is it what you call a residual? I don't know. But the story is, when they were shooting a series over here called We'll Meet Again, which is a sort of American Air Force personnel stationed at some imaginary airfield in England, and their interactions with the local villagers and pretty rubbish, really. But part of it was shot at West Malling, which was an old fighter and night fighter base in Kent. And while they were shooting, the director was saying, look, who's put that Jeep and those people there just right outside the tower? I want to shoot the film. And what they were seeing was a World War II Jeep with one WAF and a couple of guys and one guy working on the engine. And the director was getting really quite fraught about all this. And then suddenly it vanished. This solid, lifelike group of people with a Jeep, World War II Jeep, just vanished in front of them. Now, is that one of your residuals? Is that spirits?
Well, once again, I could argue either way if it was the person standing there. But how in the heck do you attach an inanimate object like a piece of machinery, a Jeep, into that? I've got to say it's residual, or what you call non-sending. Excuse me.
I don't know.
Just Mark asked me a question real quick. And first of all, M18, Mark, old friend, Larry. Mr. Lawson's my dad. That's who we're asking about.
That's what I keep saying as well. Yeah. That was my dad.
He wants to know, did your father have any ghostly experiences during or after the war? Well, as most of you now know, my dad was an American who went from before Pearl Harbor. Actually, he shipped out from Montreal the day before Pearl Harbor, as I now know. But he was on his way to England, and he was in Bomber Command, the RAF. He tells a story that he kept reliving, and I guess you could almost say may have been a dream, but to him it was the closest thing to a ghost thing, and it was his base was being hit by Stuka dive bombers. It was a German aircraft that was really terrifying in the early war, and he remembers sitting in a foxhole, and the Stuka came down, dropped its bomb, and pulled up, and he could see the gunner in the back of the airplane as plain as day, and all he had was a shovel or something to throw at him. And he kept experiencing that. He didn't experience that just at night. It would happen during the day, too. So I don't know if you'd call – that's about the only thing he ever talked about. Dad was very –
tight-lipped.
Yeah. Those people from there, they didn't talk about stuff like that.
Old World War II airmen don't talk about – especially Bomber Command. They just don't talk about it. It must have been terrible.
Yeah, and one can only imagine. But anyway, I just wanted to answer M18 there. Ghost bus in London?
Yeah, I've heard about. I think it's Camberwell, but I can't swear to it. Mm-hmm. But yes, a ghost bus.
It's not Harry Potter, I might add.
Sorry,
it's not from Harry Potter. It's a real ghost.
Be. You never know. We'll get Evan in on this, shall we?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he would know. He would know.
Evan would know. Yes, it's a old-fashioned jump on, jump off, which is sort of up to about the 1960s, double-decker London bus, which is red, and just goes down the road, and it's said to be slightly transparent.
Okay.
I can't remember if it makes any sound. I can't remember.
But once again, vehicles. Now, another thing I want to talk about, there's the ghost train in Washington, D.C. that's seen. There's trains that are seen all over. But I got to tell you a story that I just found out about when I was, preparing for the show tonight. And I'm from Ohio. I'm from right off the Great Lakes. And there were stories of a ship called the Edmund Fitzgerald that went down in 75.
I've heard of that one.
That was in 75. I was in high school when the Edmund Fitzgerald went down, because the Great Lakes are so big, they're like little oceans, and they have horrible storms out there. And the Edmund Fitzgerald has been seen, as its crewmen have been seen in the water for years. There's been stories about it. But in 2016, there was a story in Lake Superior, and a guy took a video of it, and it's the ghost ship videoed on Lake Superior, and you can probably find it on YouTube or Google, because that's where I found it. And this guy literally filmed what appeared to be a two-masted sailing ship that was kind of hazy in the distance, going in and out. And then I guess after filming it for a good half hour, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got this on video. I saw the video myself. Now, was he faking it? I don't know. That's another story. But it certainly was one that apparently drew a whole lot of interest. Now, I can kind of see ships, because water and energy and all that tends to have traditionally gone together. So I guess I could see the connection between water and ships being seen. But this was not just somebody's story. This guy got it on video. It was pretty cool. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know exactly what it was, or that whether or not he faked it, I don't know. But going under the assumption it was legitimate, wow, huge piece of evidence, I thought. So if you check that out, it'd be really interesting. But the Edmund Fitzgerald was one that I was aware about. That ghosts, the ship had been seen in the lake after she went down in 75. So once again, go back to this. How does it happen? And I gotta ask, space-time continuum. Is there some sort of rip in the fabric of time that is allowing the past and the future to come forward once in a while? What do you guys think out there? Well, Chris and I are sitting here talking. I see M18's got a couple things. RAF Fiskerton Airfield has the ghost of a Willys Jeep, which has been seen with 2 men inside but no noise. Interesting. RAF Fiskerton, you did some work at Fiskerton, or at least it's in your book, if I'm not correct.
It's in the book. I've been there. I've taken recordings there, and I'm promising my very good friend Sue, who's I don't know how to. Sue's mother had a relationship with an airman who was lost from Fiskerton before she married Sue's father. Mm-hmm. So she's got a sort of connection with this crew which never came back. And I keep swearing that we're going to go to Fiskerton, and I'll see if I can pick anyone up. And so Fiskerton I know quite a lot about. It's a very interesting area. By the memorial there, if you ever get to Fiskerton, it's very near Lincoln. Go and stand at the memorial and be quiet. It's right by the side of the old runway, or one of the old runways. It's very, very atmospheric.
Now, where's Fiskerton in relation to York? Because I can understand where York is.
70 miles down.
So it's closer to London.
No,
Not really.
London is 180 miles down from York.
Okay. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
quite a train ride. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a long way down. You should try it on a motorbike. It's a long way.
So, all these interesting stories about inanimate objects. Has anybody out there experienced anything that they'd like to share with us tonight that goes beyond just the a physical being, or what we think is a physical being, an apparition? Has anybody out there seen anything?
There's a rather interesting case from Bachelor's Grove Cemetery of a car, which is an old-fashioned car seen driving around
Bachelor's
with headlamps.
Grove.
Chicago.
Where's that? Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that was Chicago. Yeah,
Chicago.
That cemetery is supposed to be seriously haunted with all kinds of, not just.
There's all sorts of sillies going on there. Yeah, you're going to have to get another bottle of that out. I'll tell you.
I only got one. I should have gotten two.
Yeah, exactly. I told you that. The second bottle tastes so much nicer.
Yeah, I bet the third's even better. But
the third is wonderful.
But yeah, that Bachelor's Grove is supposed to be one of the most haunted spots in the Midwest. And they've not only seen that car in there that you're talking about, but they've also seen many, many figures and apparitions there. So Bachelor's Grove is supposed to be pretty darn haunted. But I just want to find out. It's easy to talk about this issue of, I'm trying to get the words out. I guess I drank this too fast or something. What is the best way to figure out, to try and conduct experiments, to try and find out why these inanimate objects, these pieces of machinery, are able to come back, why we're able to see them? I mean, the ghost train in Washington is a funeral dirge. It's a funeral train. People have seen it dozens and dozens of times. How does that happen? Could it be the energy of those that are inside of it? Is that possible?
Unless you've got a medium there who can get in touch with someone, I'd say you're never going to find out. Somehow I doubt it. I really do doubt it. But that is only my personal opinion.
Okay.
Because why create a whole scenario? The energy that it would take is way off anything I've ever experienced. The energy to create an apparition, it's hard enough for spirits to create an apparition of themselves, let alone...
I agree with that.
You're talking a full train with God knows what on it, with lights running down a track, with noise. I mean, whoa. No, I think this is a little bit beyond the energy capacity of a spirit to recreate. Unless, of course, it's transferring something into your mind. Now, this is where we haven't gone. You are actually picking up something and seeing it just in your mind, but not through your eyes. So the whole thing
is it a cycle?
It's a psychic imprint. It actually comes through direct into your brain, and you perceive it as though you're seeing it. But you're not actually seeing something that happened. You're just seeing a projection of something.
So where's the projection coming from? Do you have any thoughts? Okay.
Spirits.
So they're wanting you to see something.
Yeah, it's very intense though. It's just an idea. I'm not saying I've got any proof of this.
Yeah.
This is just an alternative idea that you are getting a psychic imprint of something rather than physically seeing it. And I might be 180 degrees out on this, but I have to interpret it according to what I know.
I don't think
as I said, you think down the trouser legs, and I'm looking it from this trouser leg into that trouser leg.
I get it, and I don't think any answer is wrong because we don't know. I mean, one or two things are happening. These things are either occurring, and thousands of people have experienced them over the decades, over the generations, or we're all crazy. Now, I really hadn't thought about that psychic impression.
I am.
Well, we've already determined that.
Well, that's all right then.
Let's say we got a couple folks jumping in here. Commanding Judge Dredd, Your Honor, good to see you. The site of the old Tay Trailway Bridge in Dundee, Scotland, is haunted by the train that fell into the river. You're familiar with that one? Okay.
I am indeed, yep.
Part of the bridge failed and collapsed. Now, see, I can almost see that being residual or non-sentient simply because of the souls that died on there and the energy. That's a possible. Spanky asks, what are the thoughts on the other side protecting the living during Spanky, your sentence ended there. I don't know what you're trying to tell me. Living during travel? Is that what you're asking? Re-ask that when I get back to it, because Ike's got something else. The desert Southwest, there are many reports of the sound of horses and native flute playing. Excellent point, Ike. Horses, I guess you could argue energy from them, but flutes playing. See, these are all questions.
Listen to my video on Crook Hall.
Yes.
With the harpsichord, piano, woman's voice. You know, this is recorded somewhere, and it floats in and out as though you're hearing it, but it's there and it's gone. It's here, it's gone. It's here, it's gone. It's another of these examples of music being played. Another example. Two of us were at Middleham Castle. And this must have been about 11:45 at night, and we were stationed just outside the keep. And there was a brief snatch of medieval singing. Just a brief snatch, a few seconds, unmistakable. It was just a typical sort of medieval hymnish like singing, and then gone, nothing. Where did that come from?
Well, a more recent event for me was and we talked about it in the show, was the Pareidolia Brewery, microbrewery in Sebastian.
Yes.
Where I got the ukulele playing. Now, nobody else, we were in a room that probably was maybe 20 by 20. It wasn't like we were spread out all over God's green earth. I was the only one that heard the music. Now, fortunately, our recorders picked it up, but I'm the only one that heard it. Mm-hmm. And it was loud enough that I heard it plainly. So why didn't anybody else hear it? And this is kind of, and I know some of my folks that are listening are going to think I'm losing my mind, but would this connect with your theory that perhaps spirits target you psychically?
It could be. It could be. And then again, how about getting back to Montrose, where a radio of the Second World War era, which is not plugged in and not working, has played World War II music.
Oh.
That people have heard. So the impossible, one of the airfields, and don't ask me which one. I mean, I'll think of it eventually, but I can't think of it offhand. There's they've got telephones on display, and none of the telephones are connected. There isn't even electricity there. Nothing connecting to them. The telephones ring. Been heard many, many times. Inanimate objects. There's nothing else causing it. They're just these inanimate objects ringing. People hear the sound of telephones ringing. Cherry Orchard, Willingham. I can't remember. It's another of the USAF airfields. The sound of tannoy, calling crews to X, Y, and Z and doing this and that has been heard over what was the old airfield. There's no tannoy. There's no buildings there. There's all sorts. Absolutely, you name a phenomena, it's occurred.
Well, and we talk so much about how do we see this the apparition of this person, or how do we see this individual? We never talk about the phones ringing, the planes flying over, the ships being videoed at sea. This is a whole thing that we all just kind of gloss together, but it is certainly, I think, is a separate issue in the field of paranormal research. How does that happen? Now, before I get too further here, Spanky came back. He asked the question, what were your thoughts on the other side protecting the living during tragedies or crashes? What are the thoughts of the other side protecting the living during car crashes and tragedies?
We get back to Flight 411.
401, you mean?
401? Is it 401?
Yeah, that's the L-1011 that crashed in the Everglades. Yeah, it's 401.
Yeah. One that I would like to, if I ever was over there, one I'd like to look into was the Allegheny Air Crash.
Oh, wow. I remember that, but I don't remember the details.
It was spread over absolutely... Yeah, Allegheny, is it?
Allegheny, yeah. I remember an Allegheny place.
I'd love to... I don't know. There's something about that which sort of makes me want to go there.
I'll have to look that up.
Unfinished business.
Allegheny's been out of business for 20 years, I think. And
no, unfinished business for me. I think.
Yeah, unfinished. Okay.
I'm getting a sort of call to go. Well, I probably never will, but there's a sort of call to something needs sorting out there. So if it's anywhere near you, it probably isn't anywhere near you, is it?
Allegheny tend to fly in the northeast quadrant of the U.S., but you're coming over here anyway when we go see Ike over in New Mexico.
Yeah.
So we'll just make a stop
I really
there.
would love to.
Yeah,
as long as you get some ESB in.
What do you think, Ike? Can you get some ESB for our good friend Chris for our visit? M18 talks about RAF East Kirby is an airfield with phones ringing when not connected.
That's another one. Yeah, that's another one.
So getting back to what Mike says, what do you think about the other side protecting the living during car crashes or tragedies? I absolutely think that there's energy, we'll call it, on the other side that does watch out over us and does protect us. I absolutely believe.
You can argue the opposite. I know we're slightly wandering off. You can argue the opposite. Look at James Dean's car.
Help me with that one.
Oh, right. You know he killed himself in his sports car. James Dean, the actor.
Yeah.
People have bought it subsequently, and they've had accidents, i.e. the jacks have failed, the car's fallen on them, all sorts. People have died driving the car. It's supposedly a very haunted car.
So that immediately makes me think of Stephen King's novel. Was it Christine? I think
Christine. Yeah, Christine. It's not quite like that, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
So
I actually I don't like Stephen King by and large, but I did like that one.
Did you? Well, he did another book about haunted vehicles. So can the energy of a human affect, in your opinion, I know you don't know, but in your opinion, can the energy of a human affect a piece of machinery?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I don't know whether they could make a jack fail, but they could definitely do other things. You know, electric's burning out, definitely. Carburetors blocking up, definitely. Grabbing the steering wheel, that's not unheard of. I've possibly talked to you about Oxney Bottom near Ringwold, very famous local haunting down in Kent, and I've got, I think, 2 witnesses that I interviewed who said that as they went down this windy sort of slight little hill with an S-bend, as they went past the haunted track where this woman in grey walks out, they felt the steering wheel wrenched.
Yeah.
To take them. You know, we drive on what you'd call the wrong side of the road over here. Wrenched so that it would take them not into the traffic on the other side, but into the trees in the ditch down there. And there were always cars in this ditch, always. And people were saying they'd bumped something in the road and it had thrown the wheel off. And 2 people I interviewed said they felt the steering wheel lurch, really pulled to the left. And they were lucky to make it not going into the ditch.
Well, I just read a story today, and if you go online, it's called The Haunted Stories of Honolulu PD. Now, of course, folks in Hawaii tend to be very spiritual, and this is they blacked out his name and his face when they had an actor acting him, but he talked about going to a famous Chinese cemetery in Honolulu where there was a lot of activity, and when he got in there, he got out, was checking the area for where the noise complaint was, saw some movement, didn't know what it was, thought they saw a person, but his car radio kept coming on. And he'd go back and he'd turn it off, and he got back into leave, and he's sitting there, and as he's sitting there, the car radio comes on again. So interesting. If anybody wants to take a look at it, I think it's called The Haunted Stories of Honolulu PD. It's on YouTube. Really kind of interesting. They've got several episodes on there. Here's a couple of interesting things here, too. M18 talks about the Chicago air crash of 1979. It's a good haunting to check out. Ghosts smelling of kerosene. Now, that's interesting, having that aroma, and we know that does happen in haunts. But you know what really, really gets me right now, Chris? Debbie Enzi, Ike's wife, just popped up a second ago and said that our birthday girl, Christine, was named after the car in Stephen King's novel. They just changed the spelling a little bit. Christine, did you know you were named after a haunted car? That's pretty cool. St. Valentine Massacre is a good one. When the warehouse was demolished, some of the bricks were sold on. And those that were purchased, those that purchased them suffered jinxes of bad luck and trouble. Interesting. Yeah, and once again, is that going to be a residual or a non-sentient type house where something may be attached to it? I'd love to tell you a story about my dad being in that, where the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. He was just a young man, was in there right after it happened, day after it happened. I'll tell you that story someday. Now, M18 is, I wonder if Pearl Harbor is haunted. If you look at some of the folks that have gone out there and have done some work, yes, Pearl Harbor is haunted. There's some interesting stuff out there. So I've never experienced it, but a lot of the information coming out of there is that Pearl Harbor is haunted. So, and, getting back to this time slip thing again, I watched a movie today that came out in '79. It was called The Final Countdown.
Oh, I like that. Never went far enough, but I like that.
Yeah, it was about the USS Nimitz from 1980 getting caught in a time warp that sent him back to December 6, 1941, just before Pearl Harbor. Interesting story, but you got to wonder. And I've never been one that's really bought into that story about time slips and stuff. But you got to wonder, could this be why those folks in England keep seeing that Dakota flying low over the horizon so many times? Is it just something?
I can tell you my account of a time slip.
Okay.
We were walking back from a pub. No, we hadn't had that much.
It's always dangerous.
We hadn't had that much, just a couple of pints. And it was a gentle walk across the fields from St. Margaret's to Kingsdown, and it must be about 2.5 miles. And the way through was along a track and then cross a sort of footpath across a field up onto the ridge, and then you walk back on the ridge to the village of Kingsdown. Easy, you can't miss it. Even if there's not too much moon, easy to find. So we'd walked along the track, crossed the field, past the barrow on the side, walked right up onto the top of the ridge, and we're both thinking, God, this is a lovely night, good, nice moon, could see exactly where you're going, lovely and warm, middle of summer. And it all changed. And my friend who I was with at the time didn't see anything, but he was saying, oh, this is weird. What's happening? This is weird. Chris, what's happening? And to me, it had stopped being night and it was full day. It was middle of the day. It was that bright. And along the track was coming a cart being pulled by an oxen, trundling along, and I could hear the trundle, trundle, trundle of solid wooden wheels of this cart coming along. And driving the cart was an old boy looking, he probably wasn't any more than 40, but he looked 90. In what I would call Roman dress, not armor, just a tunic. And next to him was a very young boy who was probably about 6 years old in a sky blue tunic. And they just came trundle, trundle, trundle. And as soon as they reached within 10 feet of me, it went back to night again. And the only thing I can think of, and my friend was saying at that point, oh my word, what's going on? It's gone cold. And then all of a sudden it was all back to normal. I can only think that's a time slip.
Wow. Or you had too much beer.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
Even you managed 4.
Hey. What happens in New York stays in New York, okay?
We'll tell this story one day.
So at any rate, that's... why do those things happen? And there's certainly so many stories about it.
There's no tales involving this cart being seen in the area before. Nothing. Although further on towards the Kingsdown village, there are tales that there is a battle scene between Romans and Britons. Now, I've never seen that, but the wood where it takes place roughly, that's creepy. I don't want to walk around that place at night. Full stop. And it's also the same wood with the oboe station, the Second World War oboe station in. Now that's really creepy. So, but yeah, it's
so many places to visit there. A couple things here right now. M18 talks about the Philadelphia experiment. Definitely a good movie. Judge Dredd, Final Countdown, classic film. Yes, splash the zero, says Kirk Douglas. Excellent line. Now, Chris, M18 wants your opinion. Can we do something to trigger a time slip? What is your opinion on that?
I'd have to think on that. I'd have to go away and sit on the toilet for about half an hour and
TMI,
really have
TMI.
a think. No, it's one of those I'd have to think about. I've never thought about it.
Well, and that's what this is all about, are us talking, folks listening to the show, asking us questions, giving us their thoughts. It's about thinking. That's the only way we're going to solve this problem, is by getting together. And we're going to talk about that in about 2 minutes here. Christine Enzi did know she was named after the car from Stephen King's book, and she's okay with it.
I want to know why.
Well, it's kind of cool to be named after a demonic car. I know that's a question we got to ask Deb and Ike. I don't know. So, yeah, anyway, our birthday girl was named after Christine the car. Very cool. Now, Jill Randazzo made a comment here, and I got to admit, I'm kind of liking this myself, the idea of a psychic impression. You know, there's so much that we don't know about our own mind, how our own brain works yet, how it functions. And you know, when we go back to your discussion a number of shows ago about almost that hive memory somewhere where all memories go, God, that kind of sort of makes sense. It's not something I would just want to toss out. I would like to look into that further. So, and oh, by the way, Debbie is blaming Ike. Debbie's blaming Ike for naming Christine.
Right.
I was telling
there's an account from this fairly well-known account from Thetford Priory. Thetford's in Norfolk. The priory was a sort of 11th till the dissolution in the 1500s priory. And a group of 4 young lads, all of whom went on to university and did various things, and one became a parapsychologist, saw a chap appear in what was a doorway with a stair going up. And they saw him turn and walk away, and they assumed, I'm talking off the top of my head here, and I haven't got any notes in front of me, so if I'm absolutely wrong, forgive me. They sort of said in a brave sort of way, thinking, oh, it must be the ghost that's reported from the place. Get him. So they all sort of rushed forward. And in the rush, at least one of them said they made it 3 steps up this flight of steps, which then vanished. And they all fell hard on the ruined floor, because the gate, the tower they were trying to go up is just a ruin. Whereas at the time that they saw it, there was a flight of steps going up, and this chap walked up the steps. And they say they made it 3 steps up before it all vanished.
Well, now Jill Randazzo just popped up with another thought, and she says it could be a flashback to previous life that we had, or could it be that time slip again?
That. Yeah. You know I'd like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. These are all questions that we keep asking. We keep asking because we don't know. And I'm going to take we got about 5 minutes left, Chris, so if you'll indulge me for a second, I want to talk about the plans.
I always indulge you.
You do.
I'm very good.
You're a very kind English gentleman. But folks, we've talked, those of you that watch the show all the time, we keep talking about things that have happened, questioning why they occur, and keep trying to come up with answers, even though there really aren't any yet. Well, tomorrow night on my Facebook, the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation Facebook, FBPI Facebook, we're going to make an announcement about a new initiative that we're putting together. Won't give you the full name tonight because that's going to come tomorrow. But this program is designed to help maybe start collecting the evidence in a manner that will allow us to start finding some answers. Now, this program won't be for everybody. It doesn't necessarily follow everybody's way of thinking. But we're putting it out there, and we're inviting folks that are interested in joining in with us to help collect evidence, put it into a central repository, a database that you'll have access to study the commonalities of evidence. That includes weather conditions, solar conditions, temperatures, seasons, everything that could possibly come together to connect evidence. But tomorrow night at 6 o'clock on the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation's Facebook, we're going to do a live announcement and go into a little bit more detail. So I'd like to invite all of you to join us. And if you're interested in being part of it, we'd love to have you. If it's not for you, that's cool too. But we are excited because my team and I feel that this is going to be the beginning of an initiative that could possibly send us into the direction of finding some answers so that we could talk about why these things may occur. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes to do that. And Muscle Car Modeler's back. Good to see you, buddy. Possessing machinery. Not sure about that, but a spirit can be sitting next to you in a car and control knobs and buttons when you're unaware. I would agree with you totally there, Muscle. So at any rate, that's my spiel, guys. If you're interested in seeing what we're going to do and you want to be part of the this initiative that we call the Great Experiment, 6 o'clock Eastern time here in the U.S. tomorrow. That would be 11 o'clock your time in England, I think, for those of you that might be wanting to watch in England. We're going to go over and introduce you to what we call the Great Experiment. Would love to have you at least listen in, and if you want to join in, would love to have you. So until that time, we'll see you guys tomorrow, but we're not done here yet. So I just wanted to make sure I got that out. We're getting close. We've only got about 3 or 4 minutes, and everybody's still with us. We're doing good tonight. Everybody's still with us.
Yeah. Now, I'll just put it. Has anyone got any questions on anything that they want to ask? If you've got any dying questions, this is your chance.
Yes.
Go on, go for it. You've got a couple of minutes to type it up.
We got some. Anybody that's got any questions or thoughts? We've had a couple of good ones here. I like Jill Randazzo's vision of past lives and time slips. I kind of like that. M18's checking out. Thanks for joining us, Mark. We'll see you next time, buddy. But I really think there's some possibilities there because we've done so, at least that I can find, we've done so little work on how our own brain, our own human organic brain is connected to all this, if at all. But I don't know that there's a whole lot of work going on it. If there is, it's not being published.
Half the time, as soon as you start doing anything psychic, you get the skeptics come along and they tear you apart.
Well,
and so nobody says anything.
That's true, but people made fun of folks and they said we could fly or that we could go to the moon. And you know how I am about this. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. I don't care if people call me crazy because they do anyway. But I at least want to know that I've done what I could to maybe find the answers to this great mystery. M18 wants to know, where would you haunt? I guess he's asking, when you go, Chris, where would you haunt?
Houses of Parliament.
Ooh, is that a political statement?
Yeah. That's where I'd haunt. I'd be a bloody poltergeist in there, I tell you. I'd get the buggers moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
It's sort of like doing the House of Representatives. Once you get someone full of hot air, you just sort of say, right, you're in for it.
I think I would haunt the bad guys that for one reason or another I could not put in jail or keep in jail. I can imagine. Yeah, I would do that. There's no doubt about it. So, but folks, I guess that's it for tonight. If anybody's got any other questions, bring them up now because we're about ready to call it quits. It's been a great show. I do want to encourage folks, once again, join me on the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation Facebook tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the FBPI Facebook at 6 p.m. and hear more about the Great Experiment and the initiative that we're going to kick off this week. And we're going to tell you where you can get more information on it. And love to have you join us. Let's see. M18 says, Commanding Judge says, that's good intentions, Chris. I think he likes you going to the Parliament. M18 would haunt his place of work. Would love to know why, but now
a little bit of payback, eh?
Yeah, Ike just wants to be up in the mountains haunting all by himself. He just wants to travel through the woods. Ike, I don't know that I blame you there, pal. I probably would enjoy that myself. And Judge Dredd says, me too. I'm not sure if that means he wants to be up in the mountains or do his place of work. I'm not sure. And anyway. So, great show tonight. Enjoyed talking with you, old buddy.
I'm glad someone does.
Stop it. Now you can go get some sleep, and I'm going to go. I wish I had another ESP.
Yeah, I told you that. I told you need more than one.
Yeah, I should have. It was actually very, very good.
I should. It's very, very good beer, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You come and try that. You come and try that draft. It's a whole new taste explosion.
Well, next week I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and I won't tell you a little bit. I won't tell you any more other than it's not your typical beer.
You're drinking cider, are you?
No. I'm not. I would not insult you by doing cider on the show.
I quite like cider.
I do too.
It has to be said. I quite now and again you get a nice tasty cider. It's worth having, or a Perry. Perry's nice.
Yeah. No, I would agree. Well, once again, I don't know if Christine's still on, but Christine, have a great birthday. Do something fun tonight. Enjoy yourself, okay? You only get this birthday once in your life, so enjoy it.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you'll look back and you'll be like Larry and me, and you think, where the hell did that go?
Amen to that. I think that every day, man. All right. Well, folks, we're going to sign off for tonight, but thank you for joining us. Some great questions. Once again, tell your friends about it. If they've got thoughts or things they want to share on the air, please get with us. ESP's getting to me there. Get a hold of me if you have questions or thoughts or comments, ideas for an upcoming show. ghostguy59@gmail.com is how you can get a hold of me. Would love to hear from you. If you have any other thoughts, questions, or things you'd like to share with us, please do that. More importantly, if you haven't done it yet, hit subscribe. Hit the little bell that lets you know when there's new content up there, because there's a lot more coming, and especially after you see the announcement tomorrow night, you'll be seeing more out here. So we're looking forward to it. Anything, let's see, Judge wants to do is at workplace. So anyway, I don't know. I'm done with my workplace. Once I go, I don't want to go back there. So any parting comments tonight, Christopher?
Nothing at all, apart from me saying that I've stopped doing everything that I do. So don't have a go at me. There's nothing appearing now, so I've stopped.
Well, for the time being, when the time's right, you'll be back. And you'll be back with me, right? On this show, right?
Yeah. I've just stopped making videos and things.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any more. It's
okay.
The time has come to stop.
Okay. I trust your judgment, old friend. So with that, folks, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week. Stay safe in this crazy world we're in right now, and we'll see all of you on the other side. Have a good night. Now the question is,